everybody. Welcome to our quarterly Tech Talk for Nonprofits. We are joined today by the lovely Allison Welch from Spark the Fire Grant Writing, and I'll do a deeper introduction in a moment, but I just wanted to introduce myself and the organization I'm with. My name is Sarah Sanford, and I am the Director of Operations with NCW Tech Alliance. So at NCW Tech Alliance, our mission is to connect people, technology, and partners so our region can learn, work, and build the futures they choose. So we believe that people should be able to live and work where they love. That means every resident in every community can access the skills, the tools, and opportunities they need to thrive without leaving the place they love to call home. So we are grateful to partner with the Nonprofit Practices Institute for this quarterly series. So our Tech Talks are free quarterly webinars that are brought to you on different tech topics of interests with a focus on nonprofit work. The Nonprofit Practices Institute helps nonprofit organizations across North Central Washington strengthen their skills and grow their potential with affordable and accessible trainings, workshops, and networking opportunities. Unfortunately, they could not be on the call today, but they wanted me to let you know that they've got some incredible offerings and events coming up. So you can head to the website on the screen, cfncw.org/NPI, to check out what they have coming up. All right, without further ado, I would love to introduce Allison Jones, formerly Allison Jones, now Allison Welch, who brings more than 20 years of experience in grant writing and nonprofit management. She is one of only 30 trainers nationally approved by the Grant Professionals Certification Institute and is also an approved trainer for both the Grant Professionals Association and the Association of Fundraising Professionals. Allison is known for making grant writing practical, accessible, and confidence building for nonprofit professionals. So we're so lucky to have her with us today. Thank you for sharing your time and expertise with us, Allison.
Of course.
So in today's session, Allison will help us explore how AI can support grant writing without replacing our authentic voice, current policies and limitations of AI detection tools, practical prompts that support grant development and research, and ethical ways to use AI to save time and strengthen impact. So I know she's got a lot to get through, so I'm going to hand it over here shortly, but just a reminder that if you've got questions that come up during the session today, please pop them in the Q&A. We have a dedicated 15 minutes or so at the end of Allison's presentation to get through some of those questions. So please feel free to drop them in at any point. All right, Allison, I'm going to stop my share screen now.
Okay.
And hand it over to you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for the warm introduction. That was so sweet. Okay. Oop, I think I put something in front of my, shoot, I had it just ready and then, then it's not. But I'm really happy to be here. I've almost got it. There we go. And so, yeah, thank you so much, Sarah, and thanks everyone for being here. I see a lot of familiar names in the audience. Shout out to you all that have taken my certificate in grant writing course through Spark the Fire grant writing classes. I always appreciate you following along and continuing your education. It's so important and it's just so wonderful. So as Sarah said, I'm Allison Welch and I'm the CEO and founder of Spark the Fire grant writing classes. And I hope that some of you caught my tech talk last summer on AI and grant writing. If you did, this one is going to feel a little different. I'm not going to spend our 30 minutes reintroducing you to ChatGPT or telling you to tone in your prompts. We've already covered that, and that recording is actually available. So if you want to go back and see that, you can. But what I wanted to do today is okay, so you're getting more comfortable with using your chat bot and so on and so forth. What is next? And so if you've been wondering, is this all there is? The answer is no, there's a lot more and it's all available right now. So I've already been introduced, so I won't spend much time on this, but just to let you know, you're in good hands with me. I've got a lot of experience in grant writing, and I also review grants for foundation and government entities. And I also have a new book that's coming out in October. It's called the Of Course Course Factor, and it's a guide to meaningful grant writing. So it's a how-to book on writing grants, and it is perfect for both beginners as well as advanced practitioners. So I'll give you the link in the chat if you would like to sign up to be on the list for knowing exactly when it releases. And that doesn't add you to my general email list. It only adds you to the book launch list so that you know. All right. So when I gave this talk last August, the AI conversation in grant writing was still about whether to use it. And in 9 months, that question is pretty much settled. So according to the 2026 Virtuous and Fundraising AI report, 92% of nonprofits are now using AI in some capacity. The conversation has shifted to, are you using it well? And here's the gap that I want us to talk about today. The same report found that only 7% of nonprofits report major improvements in organizational capacity from AI. So 92% are using it, but only 7% are getting the actual results that they want. And what separates those groups isn't access to better tools, it's how you use them. And that is what today is going to be all about. So here's the framework I want to walk you through. And this is the 6 levels of AI maturity. And I didn't invent this. It's a way to think about where you are and where you want to go. Level 1 is the chatbot user. You can open Claude or ChatGPT. You can ask it something. You can copy the output. You paste it where you need it. Most people in the nonprofit sector are here. And frankly, this is already useful. It's very useful. Level 2 is about workflows. So multi-step processes that you can run regularly, packed into a single prompt. Level 3 is using AI as a thinking partner, not for output, but for perspective. Level 4 is connected AI, and that's when the chat window basically goes away and AI works inside the tools that you already use. We're going to talk about all of these one by one, but this is just the overview. So level 5 is building. You stop using tools other people made and you make your own. And then level 6 is using AI on yourself, not the work, on the person doing the work. So we're going to walk through each of these today. And by the end, you'll know exactly where you are and what your next steps look like. Oh, and I just wanted to mention, I said that I didn't invent this, but I always love to give credit where credit is due. These 6 levels of AI maturity, researchers like Ethan Mollick at Wharton have been writing about how people move from delegating to AI all the way to truly partnering with it. And what I've done is I've adapted that progression into 6 concrete levels for grant writers with specific actions you can take at each one. Okay, so let me show you the gap I mentioned. The 92% of nonprofits are using AI, and that's nearly universal. 24.6 are using it specifically for grant writing. So this room reflects that sector, but only 7% are getting major improvements. And that's really a striking gap. And so I'm sure you're wondering, like I am, well, why? And it's because most people stop at level 1. They open the chatbot, they do one task at a time, and they call it AI adoption. The tool can do so much more, but the workflow stays unchanged. So the 7% who are getting results moved past level 1 and they've built systems. They've built connected tools. They stopped treating AI like a fancy search engine and they've started treating it like infrastructure. And that's the shift that we are going to make in the next 25 minutes. So if you're brand new to AI, here is the 5-block framework. This is what I taught last year in our time. So just in quick 60 seconds, this is how you use your chatbot. Define your goal, set the tone. You want to be really specific about what you want your output to be. You provide the context. So putting in the information about your organization specifically, and then you iterate and refine. And that's still the very foundation. Every prompt that you write should still hit those 5 elements. And I bet that you've figured out that you don't have to do all of that work every time you do the chat. So why am I still talking about doing, setting the tone? Who are you? What's the, all of this? And the reason is because evidence is still showing that if you take the time to use these 4 different prompts, and then you iterate and refine, you're actually going to get much better results. So if you just type in a question without setting up anything, the answer you're going to get is going to be sort of like a global answer to any question that you typed in the web. But if you give it context, if you define your goal, you set your tone, if you're specific, then you're going to get richer answers that are going to be much more improved. So again, the last year's recording is on the NCW Tech Alliance YouTube, but this is the floor. And today we're going to talk about the ceiling. So let's start with level 2, and these are workflows. So level 1 is asking AI one thing at a time. Workflows are packaging a repeatable multi-step process into a single instruction. And so here's the trick. You slow down once to document what you do, and then you never have to do it manually again. The candidate workflow in grant writing are the things that you do every week. Writing the letter of interest, researching different funders, critiquing your proposal, giving your board updates on your pipeline. Any of these can be turned into an AI workflow. And most people don't do this because it requires a one-time investment of thinking. But once it's set up, you trigger it with a sentence. So here's a workflow that you can build for letters of inquiry. And so for those of you who might be new to grant writing, I just want to give a little background context. Some grant makers require that you submit a letter of inquiry before a full proposal. And so it's kind of a hoop that you have to jump through. It might seem tedious or time consuming to have to do that extra step, but I also know that most foundations say that 90% of applicants don't get past the letter of inquiry phase. So the letter of inquiry is actually really important too, and you don't want to, just think of it as a task to check off. It's something you want to give a lot of thought to. So the old way to write an LOI was that you would research the funder, you would assess the fit, you would sketch an outline, you would write the draft, and then ideally you would critique it before sending. And let's say it took you about 90 to 120 minutes per letter of interest. And honestly, the critique step is the one most people skip when they're tired. So here's the new way. You have a single prompt that says, run my letter of interest, LOI workflow on this funder. And then it does 4 things in sequence. So step 1, a funder snapshot. It's going to find out what was the grant maker's mission, priorities, what are the recent grants it's made, what is the application style. Step 2 is a fit assessment. So it's going to score your project on a 1 to 10 scale and tell you whether to proceed with applying, to reframe your approach, or to skip this opportunity altogether. Step 3, it's going to draft a 2-page letter of interest in your voice using the past letter of interests in your project as voice anchors. So it's got a database of different grants and LOIs that you've written before, and it's pulling from that archive automatically once you set up the workflow. Step 4 is the magic one. So you've already asked it to do this and it's part of the process, and that's the self-critique. So AI switches hats. It reads its own draft as a skeptical program officer, and it tells you what's weak and what's working really well. And you get to decide what to fix. And that same pattern applies to grant reports, to funder research, to writing your proposal sections, and even pipeline reviews for your grant opportunities. You build it once and then you run it every time. Level 3 is where things get a little more interesting. And honestly, this is where most people think they already are. So I want to push on that a little. Asking AI to write something for you is level 1 or 2, but asking AI to think with you is level number 3. And the difference is that at level 3, you're not asking for output, you're asking for perspective, you're asking for pushback, missing angles, contrary opinions. You're asking AI to play devil's advocate for you. And you're using AI as kind of a sparring partner, not a ghostwriter. And so this is the shift from AI that helps me work faster to AI helps me think better. And it's available to you right now. So here are 3 prompts that you can try this week. None of them ask AI to write anything. So first, before I outline this proposal, ask me 10 questions a skeptical program officer at this funder would ask. Push back on assumptions. Second, here's my draft. Don't edit it. Tell me what 3 concerns a committee member would raise. What questions would they have? Where is my logic the weakest? And then third, I'm deciding between 2 strategies. Argue for both and then tell me what I have not yet considered. So hopefully you're noticing the pattern here. What you're using AI for is what humans can't easily do. It's holding multiple perspectives simultaneously. It's identifying gaps without having an ego. It's surfacing what's missing. And this is where AI stops being a productivity tool and it starts being a strategic asset. So I'd love to know what you're thinking about this if you want to type into the chat. It's so hard when I can't see everyone. And so just hearing your reflections as we go through the chat is a great way to help me out and keep me going here. So I'm going to keep going. So level 4. So now we get into the genuinely new frontier in 2026. Level 4, this is connected AI. And so everything we've talked about so far happens inside the chat window. You open up Claude, you open up your chat GPT, whatever chat bot that you like to use. You get a response, you copy, you paste. Well, level 4 is going to close that chat window. The AI is going to work inside the tools that you already use, inside your Gmail, inside your Notion, inside your Google Drive, inside your CRM, inside your Candid account. So Candid is a prospect research database. It is a combination of what used to be Foundation Directory Online plus GuideStar. They combined into candid.org. And now they actually have a connection between Candid and Claude. So if you have an account with Candid and you also have a Claude account, you are operating within both of those at the same time, which is really, really powerful. So you don't have to switch apps. You don't have to copy and paste. You give one instruction and then the AI moves across your tools to get it done. And this is what MCP, which is called stands for Model Context Protocol, enables. And so this was something that Anthropic launched in late 2024. And by mid 2026, the entire AI industry has standardized it. And so just kind of quickly, what that means is I like to give this analogy. You know how we have all these different electronics, and for a while they all had these different plugs. And then finally someone said, hey, let's all use the USB. Now I know that always changes every time Apple changes their phone. We're having to switch. But when they create something like the USB, everything plugs in together and it starts working. And so that's what this plug that was called the MCP did is it's allowing all of these software tools to connect to each other and talk to each other through AI. And so now tools like Lindy and Notion AI and Microsoft Copilot and Claude all work with connectors. They all work this way now. So here's what that looks like in real grant writing work. Instead of saying, for example, help me write a follow-up email, you copy and paste names and you're copy and you're pasting names and details. Instead of that, you say draft personalized follow-up emails to 3 program officers I met this week. Reference our conversation notes. And then what AI does is it reads your meeting notes. You know how you could have AI come into your Zoom and capture everything you're reading. So AI is actually reading your meeting notes. It reads your Gmail history with each person, and then it drafts 3 different emails, each tailored to exactly what it was that you discussed. It shows them to you for approval. And that's an email that would have taken an hour. Now done in just 5 minutes with much more personalization than you might have been able to manage manually. I don't know about you, but sometimes I've written something, I've done an email, I've created a document, and I can't find it anywhere. It's like, where did it go? So that's one of the things that I love about AI the most is that now it's able to look across your systems and help you find that. And not only just in one place, but grab everything from your email and your Google Drive and your meeting notes and so on and put it all together. So, another example, you could, instead of saying, help me research funders, you can manually search and then you manually search and compile. Instead, you can say, find 5 funders that have given to literacy programs in rural Washington in the last 18 months and draft an LOI using my template. And so pulling their history from Candid, it will then draft a letter of inquiry for each one using the standard template in your project. And that is the same task that you do today, but it's going to happen across your tools, not just in a chat. And so time is going to go from hours to minutes. Okay, so some specific tools that you can use today. I don't know if these are already familiar to you or that maybe they look a little bit new, but Lindy is what I recommend for cross-tool workflows. So it connects your Gmail calendar, it connects your Notion, your CRM, whatever that is, if it's Salesforce or DonorBox or whatever, almost anything. And it can teach it a workflow once and then it runs forever. So that's pretty cool. I have Lindy set up right now and it actually texts me to start my day every morning at 7 a.m. I get a text. It reminds me of what is coming up for me for that day. It gives me a little news report on the news that I'm interested in. It tells me the weather and it reminds me things that I didn't even ask it to because it's reading my email and it's saying, hey, you haven't followed up with Sarah yet to give her that information on the webinar. You better get on that. And so that's Lindy. That's the things that Lindy can do. It's pretty cool. If you already live inside Notion, Notion AI is fantastic. It can read across your entire workspace. And then of course, you have Microsoft Copilot, which is built right into Microsoft 365. So if your organization already runs Microsoft, you might already have it. Claude for nonprofits just launched with connectors to Candid, Blackbaud, and Benevity, specifically for our sector. And the nonprofit discount for Claude is 75% off. So if you've been thinking, oh my gosh, I'd love to have all of these AI tools, Allison, but they're expensive. Well, guess what? Claude is, I think it's $8 a month with the nonprofit discount, but you have to go in through the nonprofit discount and not through the regular entryway. So that's exciting. And now that it's connecting right with Candid, if your organization has a subscription to Candid, then they're talking to each other. And I'm just gosh, I have so little time today. I wish we could just talk all day. But you can always email me about this later and I'll give you more information. But Candid is doing this thing right now where if your nonprofit's budget is under $1 million and it's called Go for Gold. If you can go into your GuideStar profile and update your information by uploading your financials and your goals and your objectives and your key staff and your board members and all this information, you're just adding information. If you can get your profile to the gold level, the highest is platinum, before December 31st this year, you can get a 2-year subscription to Candid for free. So now you've got Claude for $8 a month. You've got a free subscription to Candid. This is cool. This is so great. So I can hit me up later if you need help with that. I'm happy to help you. Okay, so Claude for Nonprofits, ChatGPT, they have their Actions feature, which can connect to web services. Pick one, start small. Don't try to connect everything on day one. I say get comfortable with one at a time and then build from there. So what time is it? I was going to do a live demo, but I don't think we have time. That's okay.
Allison, if you want to keep going, this is such amazing information. We can just bundle the Q&A that comes in. I'm sure there's going to be some great questions, and we can always get back to everyone by email. So please don't feel like you need to rush through this because this is amazing.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to do a quick, like, I've actually already done it in Claude, so it shouldn't take long. I'm going to stop the share and switch screens real quick because I want to show you what this looks like when you do it. So, oh gosh. Here it is. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. I have to talk myself through this so I can do it more quickly. Hitting share. Can you see that?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, great. So this is what I've done. I went to grants.gov, which is where you find all kinds of uh, all the federal grants get listed on grants.gov. So anytime you're looking for a federal grant, that's where you would go. So I found one that looked salient, it looked relevant, and I took that RFP and I uploaded it into Claude. This was my prompt. I said, read this RFP and give me back the eligibility requirements, the evaluation criteria with their weights, the formatting requirements, any hidden gotcha or unusual asks, because there's always that fine print that we forget and we miss it. And then draft an outline for a competitive proposal. And this is what it gave me in about 30 seconds. So here's the name. It's the HUD, Comprehensive Housing Counseling and Housing Counseling Training, NOFO analysis, the opportunity number, the deadline, eligibility requirements, program specific eligibility, mandatory baseline requirements, key prohibitions, evaluation criteria, and weight. It gave me, it breaks it down for each aspect of the program. It gives me a list of the formatting requirements. So sometimes you have these federal grants that say you have to use Times New Roman 12-point font with 1-inch margins and so on. And if you mess that up, they don't take it. It's so crazy. So this is giving you all of those formatting requirements that you need to know. And look, here's the hidden gotchas. The HUD fillable PDF must be submitted as is, not separate, no specific dollar request, and so on. So hopefully this just shows you kind of the power of taking what was, I think it was a 60-page RFP for a federal grant, and it just broke that down for me super quick. Okay, so I'm going to go back to, I have to juggle again, and I'm going to close that out of the way. And I can share my screen right there. Okay, cool. All right, so that was our live demo. And so next, we're on now level 5. So level 5 is where most people don't think that they belong. And I am here to convince you that you do. So for most of the history of software, building a tool meant that you had to hire a developer or you had to learn code. And that's no longer true. If you can describe what you want clearly, You can build a tool. The AI does the technical work. You do the design and the testing. And I'm not talking about complex enterprise software or like developing really complicated gaming, games or video games or something. I'm talking about small, focused tools that solve one problem really well. And so it's the kind of thing that you'd otherwise pay a consultant to build, except now you can have it ready by tomorrow. So here are the tools that I've either built or I've seen built by grant professionals in the last year. None of these required coding. And so here they are. One is we have the RFP decoder. You paste any funder's solicitation and it returns a structured analysis, including requirements, evaluation criteria, hidden gotchas, suggested outline, and a list of questions to ask the program officer when you take that step to pick up the phone and call, which you always need to do. And most people don't do that. A go, no go checklist. This is a short tool that walks your team through whether to pursue an opportunity or to let it go. And so it's going to look at your mission, your fit, your capacity, your deadline realism, if you can actually hit that deadline, and your win probability. So it's going to standardize this decision on whether to apply for this or not that might otherwise you would make on gut. It's going to give you a lot more data and information to make an educated decision about that. A budget narrative generator that is tuned to your funder's perspectives. So this is really useful for staff or when you're even just staring at a blank justification for a budget at 9 p.m. I've been there. A letter this is going to basically take your budget, your table budget, and it's going to pull out every line item and write a description for how the budget was calculated and why that budget item is critical to the project's success. And that's going to make your budget narrative so much more stronger and your proposals are going to score so much more point. A letter of interest builder. So it pulls from your past letters of interest and it adapts to the new funder. And then finally, we have a funder priority matcher. So you describe your project, it pulls from a knowledge base of funders that you've researched and it ranks the matches. And so tools that you can use would be like Claude artifacts, custom GPTs for actions, Lindy workflows, Notion templates with AI built in. Again, just pick one. I recommend Claude. It's doing so much right now and it has such an intuitive interface. It doesn't seem complicated. It seems really friendly. And they actually have a philosopher on staff. So all of the output is always like encouraging. And if you try to ask it to do something that might be fringing on unethical, it'll actually tell you, no, I'm not going to help you do that. That's not ethical, Allison, or whatever. So that's funny. Level 6, this is the last level. So level 6 is the most overlooked level and possibly the most valuable. Everything that we've talked about so far uses AI on your work, but level 6 uses AI on you. And so this is using AI's analytical capabilities to spot patterns in your own behavior, your own writing, your own decisions. And these are patterns that we can't see because we're inside them. And so it's just really helpful to have somebody else looking from outside in. And most people don't do this because it's a little bit emotionally uncomfortable, right? For somebody to really critically analyze your writing and tell you what maybe needs to be improved and also what is working really well, but it can be uncomfortable. And so now you can use AI to do this. So 3 questions, concrete prompts to try this month. At one point, each one points AI at a different part of your grant writing experience. So here's 3 different things you can try. So number 1, upload a year of your grant proposals, whether they were funded or not, and ask, what themes do I return to? Where does my writing get vague? What boilerplate am I overusing? What would a more authentic version sound like? Number 2, Upload your rejection letters and all of the feedback. If you've ever received reviewer feedback, and I do recommend that you always ask for feedback. And here's a hint. Don't ask for feedback as soon as you get the decline letter. Everyone is asking, and they'll just say no because they don't have time for it. Wait a couple of months and then ask for feedback on your proposal. You'll be much more likely to get a yes when they're not frizzled. So you ask, what patterns do I see across funders who declined? What's the consistent gap in my proposal? What am I missing? And this is uncomfortable, but it's really the fastest way to improve your win rate. And then finally, number 3, upload your win-loss data by funder type, project type, dollar range, and ask, where am I winning? Where am I losing? Where am I wasting time pursuing bad fits? These prompts can work because AI can hold and analyze more of your data simultaneously than you can, and it can see what you can't see. And then you can read what comes back with your own curiosity, not defensiveness, because you're just talking to a computer and nobody knows what it's saying. And some of it will be a little bit off, and some of it might be a little uncomfortable. Some of it might be uncomfortably accurate, but both are useful. So, Sarah, I'm almost done. We doing okay?
Oh, you're doing so fine on time, Allison.
Okay.
Yes, this
Okay,
is
great.
wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So, just a quick update on funder policies because this has changed since last year. So, for most foundations, there is no formal AI policy. They focus on the proposal quality. But we are hearing that reviewers are getting savvier about spotting generic AI text. If you're using AI correctly, using your authentic voice, you can still use AI and it's not going to be recognized. What foundations are upset about is when you don't take the time to use your authentic voice, or you're just having the chat GPT or whatever just write it for you, and you're not going back and iterating and making sure everything is perfect and in your voice. So that matters more than ever. NSF, the National Science Foundation, requires the disclosure of AI use, and failure to disclose is treated as a misrepresentation. So you absolutely cannot use AI with NSF. And then NIH is the National Institute of Health. They have also taken a strict stance. So as of January 2026, applications that are substantially developed by AI will not be considered original. And they do use detection software. I've written about this. And I think I talked about it last time, so I won't go into it. Detection software doesn't really work very well, but they are using it. And so just be aware of that. Use AI for limited tasks only on NIH proposals. State and local funders vary, so just read the guidelines every single time. And when in doubt, just ask the program officer. But, I've talked to Claire at the Community Foundation of North Central Washington, and she wants people to use AI because it levels the playing field, and it helps organizations that are under resourced compete for these larger grants. So everyone is different. Everyone has a different perspective on it. When in doubt, just ask. So 5 practices that can carry through every single level. This is just kind of going back to ethics. Always review and refine. AI is a draft engine, not a final authority. Fact check everything. Hallucinations are still happening where AI just makes up random information and it might look really true and it might even have a citation. So verify every statistic. Actually click on the citation and read it for yourself and make sure that it is accurate. Maintain your human voice. The more advanced your AI use, the easier it is to lose your voice. So guard it, protect it, protect your sensitive information. For those of you dealing with HIPAA and things, no publicly identify or personally identifying information into public tools. And in case anyone's Oh, I already said that. So names, addresses, social security numbers, medical records, donor data, none of that goes into a public chatbot. So you want to make sure that whatever you're using, for example, if you're using Claude, you want to go in and turn off where it says, I would like to share my chats with Claude for training purposes. You turn that off. And then even beyond that, maybe you just never want to put in personally identifying information. Just use aggregate data to run your stats instead. Where you can start tomorrow, you don't have to do everything. You just have to do the next thing. So if you're at level 1, build a project, upload 3 of your strongest documents and start prompting it instead of cold. And if you're at level 2, build one workflow. Pick something that you do every week, document the steps, hand it to AI, and see what it does. If you're at level 3, try one strategic prompt this week, not for output, but for perspective. If you're at level 4, pick one connector tool, Lindy or Notion or Claude with the MCP, the plugin I was talking about. Start small and just give it a try and see how it does for you. If you're at level 5, build one small tool this month. An RFP decoder is a great first project. If you're at level 6, run one self-study prompt against a year of your own work. You don't have to jump levels. You just take the very next step and see how it goes for you. I'm writing a book, or I have written a book, The Of Course Factor, A Guide to Meaningful Grant Writing, and Sarah's going to put the link in for that one too. So if you want to be notified when it comes out, I've already started getting endorsements in from this book, people who have read it cover to cover, and everyone is saying that it's fantastic, which makes me so happy because I have been working on this book for more than 10 years, literally. So AI is incorporated into every chapter. It's not like a separate thing, but it's not all about AI either. It's really about how to write grants. And I write into the book when we're talking about something like prospect research, I'll say, here's a place where AI can be useful. So let's see. And this book is really about strategy. It's about authentic voice and relationships. And so if you want to sign up, you'll get you can get the sign up link and find out when it comes out. All right, so I am now open for questions, and you have my contact information as well. If you don't, I'll give it to you, but it's Allison@sparkthefiregrantwriting.com. You're always welcome to email me or call me up and talk about whatever you want to, because I love to talk about grant writing.
Allison, thank you
Yes.
so much for
Yep.
sharing your expertise and your time with us today. This was so informative.
Good.
And congratulations on your book. I've already signed up. I'm on the launch list. We're actually at time today. There's too much amazing content to get through. If you have questions, I'll pop Allison's email in the recap today so you can reach out.
Perfect. And don't feel shy about contacting me.
You are wonderful, Allison. Thank you so much.
Thank
And a
you so
huge
much.
thank you to everyone who joined us today.